Good day everyone. For today, we will discuss about grammatical function 2.1, the subject. We are the reporters. I am Reina Jean, this is Christian, and this is Kim. The first reporter is Christian.
Now let's talk about one of the grammatical functions, the subject. So in grammar, the subject is the one who performs the action or the one being described by the verb. So in a sentence, Gary gave Victor a radio. So in identifying the subject, we need first to identify the verb because according to the rule, the subject precedes the verb. So this is the verb, so we can identify the subject Gary in a sentence because Gary is the one who performs the action gave and Victor is the indirect object and the radio is direct object. Now let's proceed to the properties of subject. We have three properties of subject which are first person, second person, and the third person. For example, you eat breakfast at 6:30. So this is the subject which is first person. And then we or they eat breakfast at 8. So this is the second person subject which is considered as the addressee in the sentence. And the third person, he or she eats breakfast at 9:15. So in this sentence, the subject here is addressee because he performs the action eats. So in writing a sentence, it is very important that the verb agrees to the subject. We call that the subject-verb agreement. So here are the examples of sentences. The first two sentences are the present tense, and the third and fourth sentences are the past tense. The first sentence, I am ready. So basically, this is a singular present tense. In the second sentence, you or we are ready. So this is plural present tense since the verb agrees to the subject you and we, which is plural. In the third sentence, he or she was ready. So this is the past tense of the sentence number 1, which is was agrees to the subject he or she, which is third person. And the fourth one, you or they were ready. So the verb agrees to the subject you or they, which is the plural form of the third person. And that is the subject-verb agreement.
Now, let's talk about expletive or pleonastic subjects. Expletive or pleonastic subjects are the subjects that are meaningless. A further grammatical fact about the subject of definite clause is that it always present. That this is the grammatical fact is the most clearly shown by the fact that if there is no need for a subject, semantically, a grammatical subject which has no meaning has to appear. For example, the sentence, it seems that Roger ran away. That Roger ran away is an example of propositional phrase. And it seemed is another argument because seem is a verb and it is a subject. But in this case, in the expletive or pleonastic subject, it is meaningless. The verb seem has just one argument, the clause that Roger ran away, which acts as its complement. Thus, from a semantic point of view, there is no subject argument here. Yet, there is the subject, the pronoun it, which in this case, at this example, expletive or pleonastic subject, it is meaningless. There is a subject, the pronoun it, which in this case has no meaning. Note that this is not the same as the one that refers to the third person, non-human, as is the following. For example, it beat me. One could question the pronoun subject that expects to get an answer. What beat you? Answer. For example, that mute. However, this is not possible because the pronoun does not refer anything in this sentence. In this sentence, it seems is another example of argument, but it here is a meaningless, which means it not identify or specify any subject that refers in this verb.
Now, let's talk about the typical rule of the subject. So, subject often plays the role of the agent, which is the one doing the action. Now, let me give you an example. So, Henry hit Thomas. So, as we can see, Henry is our subject here, which is the one we automatically understand that he is the one doing the action. So, Henry is our agent. And Thomas, which is the one who's being hit, is our patient. Now, sometimes the subject can be the patient, which is the one receiving the action, or the theme, which is something being moved or being described in a sentence. Now, the example here is the letter arrived late. So the one we're talking about is the letter. So this is our theme now. So the relationship between the subject and its rule isn't always straightforward. So example, Fred fears height. So the one who fears height is Fred, which is our experiencer who experience being afraid. So we have here another example. So height frightened Fred. As you can see, height is our subject here, and the one who experienced being frightened is Fred. So here, even though Fred has the same rule as the experiencer with this sentence, he is the subject in first but not in the second. This shows that the subject isn't always the one with a particular semantic rule. What can be a subject? So other types of phrases and clauses can sometimes be the subject. So let me give you an example. So first we have here down there would be a good place to hide. Down there is our phrase. So which is, since we're talking about location, this is a prepositional phrase. Now the second one is ill was how I was feeling at the time. So ill is adjective. So this phrase is adjective phrase. Now, last one is run away. It's what I advise you to do. So we're doing action here. So this kind of phrase is called verb phrase. Now, the subject of a sentence is usually the main actor, and we understand its specific rule in the action described by the verb, while often has rules like agent or experiencer. It can sometimes have other rules, and surprisingly, things other simple nouns can even be the subject. And that's all. Thank you.